This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from the entire Shadowhunters universe, with mentions of Buffy, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Sailor Moon. For full list, please see show notes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Better in Black, 10 Shadowhunters short stories by Cassandra Clare.
Which was originally part of her Kickstarter campaign that both Laura and I participated in funding. So we were always going to discuss this. It's part of our Shadowhunters Yule tradition every December as we continue to love and be back with old friends. But because of the success of the Kickstarter campaign and really the demand for a lot of the stories that we'll be chatting today, it was picked up by a traditional publisher and it has since become made available through traditional publishing, through ebook, and through audio, which we both co-read with our Kickstarter copies as well as our audio copies.
Yes, and I have the Kickstarter in my hand. Jessica Marie also has the Kickstarter in her hand. It is heavy. It is a hefty book. It's got them shiny pages, and I like it's got purple, big text in there, purple little hearts. I eat that shit up. It's nice. There's artwork. There's quotes. We paid good money for funding this. Amazing. Due to tradition with Cassandra Clare, when she does, because this is an anthology book, when she does anthology books like this in audio, it is tradition for her to have different narrators, and that holds true here. We have a bunch of different narrators for all of these stories. Again, something that you would think would be annoying. However, in my opinion, totally works with this, sets the stage, sets the time period, sets the location, sets the vibe for a lot of it. And I think that it only enhances the listening experience.
That's such a good point, because I know that I'm on record saying, the interchangeable narrators that sometimes comes with authors, just authors in general, with it, they could have a series of books and it's the same POV and not the same author. But it always works with her anthologies because and we've covered a couple on the podcast as well. Her anthologies have always felt like, I say full cast in air quotes because it's not like each person is assigned. It's not like these multiple POVs in the conversation, It's just basically per section, I want to say per chapter, but it's really per story because it is an anthology. And we have the couples, for Better in Black, we have Will and Tess, and it's not just their story, it's just moments in their lives that we're really exploring. So it's Will and Tess, Lucy, it's kind of like a foursome. We have Lucy, Herondale, and Jesse, and it's more like Lucy, Cordelia, and James. You have Luke and Jocelyn. You have Thomas and Alistair. You have Kieran and Christina and Mark. You have Ari and Anna, Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorn, Simon, Isabel, Jason Clary, and Sebastian and the Sealy Queen. And why do I feel like, and I guessed before, and then you were like, no, it's not that one. I'm going to tell you when we record. Was it Sebastian and the Unseelie Queen?
As
or
which?
The Sealy Queen?
As which?
As the couple you were excited to read about.
Oh, the couple that I was excited to read about. Oh my God. Fantastic way to kick off this episode. So, you think that you would think that I wouldn't be surprised because I followed this Kickstarter. I paid for it. I should know what's in it. However, those details, kind of eluded me. I knew it was like couples, and I know that Cassandra did like this huge like reveal. These people, these couples, all of this stuff. I don't pay attention. So I was going through all of this, and halfway through, I was like, I swear to God, if Simon and Isabel don't have a chapter, I am going to lose my fucking mind. Because, like, Simon, we have not seen them really. Like Simon is over in, like Magnus in the Red Scrolls of Magic. He's over with Magnus, and
we haven't read that yet.
We haven't read that yet.
Yeah. Okay.
He's over there with Magnus for a while, and he's going like through his own thing, and that is the last that we really like kind of know about Simon. So it's like, oh, okay, he's like back, he's like better, he's a shadow hunter, he's with Isabel, he's like trying to strike out on his own, he's like got this job at the Skullman's, kind of like that. I was like, oh my God, finally, because we learned in like, I don't even know what it was, the last set of anthologies, through a conversation between Jace and Clary, that Simon and Isabel were engaged, but we didn't know how, where, or why.
Yes, and I feel like that's where I remember where we left off, and maybe there was, and then right before that, it's okay, Shadowhunters, crazy spoilers, was when like Isabel's dad died and they were having like this heart-to-heart conversation, like Isabel's dad was having the heart-to-heart with Alex, because it was like couple pages that you had told me, I think while we were reading the Dark Artifices, you were like, stop before we continue, read this section, and then we'll continue on our journey. So as a reminder for everyone, if you're joining us yearly or if you're new or everything in between, I have only read the Shadowhunters series once. And I still haven't even read them all. Like just right now, we're like, okay, I haven't read the Red Sea Scrolls. I'm sure there's a couple other things floating around. Including 2 additional books in this Kickstarter set that we haven't, did you read them yet? No.
Not yet.
We haven't read either. But there's something to be said about the campaign that we knew the Blackthorn Hall was originally published on Cassandra Clare's Tumblr or her website weekly. Each chapter was uploaded for a week, so there was 52 chapters. She did that as a passion project in COVID, and then it kind of, I want to say it stimulated the whole Kickstarter campaign because people wanted the physical copies of it. And then it kind of, the way Cassandra's mind works, there's always a story to tell, and there's always something that she's creating. And we also know to some degree, because a lot of these stories were initially supposed to be Kickstarter only, it didn't necessarily, it just kind of added to the story. And it's so funny because I think when Laura and I sometimes we'll have our conversations on and off the podcast, we're like, do we need more? And maybe it's just us. And we're not always the audience, but we are the audience for Shadowhunters because we're like, just bitches love Easter eggs. We are bitches. And that is just, we just eat every single thing up. And it felt that way with this anthology, no?
It absolutely did. And Jessica Marie, this anthology did more for you than just be entertaining. It pulled you out of a book slump, yeah?
Yeah, I was reading an arc that comes out. This episode will be in December 2025. I was reading an arc for February 2026. Loved it. Wasn't expecting to love it because there was just like one main trope that I usually just don't vibe with. But I loved the characters. And once I pushed past that and realized that I just loved them so much, I just couldn't stop thinking about them. I love both the FMC, super relatable, a lot of deep-seated issues that I kind of related to. The MMC was just perfect. And of course, it was just one of those, to go through the trauma that she did and to have somebody relate to it. I was I cannot get out of it. But the way I did was with Shadowhunters, because it's great to be back with old friends. And it's also something to be said because we knew it was going to be focused on, the anthology was going to focus on couples. It was going to focus on happily ever after. We got the fantasy aspect, but the stakes weren't as necessarily high as we knew from Blackthorn Hall. So what we eventually learned, some of these stories do lead up into the next set of trilogy, the final set, so Cassie says, The Wicked Powers. And then, but you always knew at the end of it there was going to be a resolve. And I think it was finding the balance of getting me out of my romancy, or not my romance book slump of this arc that I loved. And just again, it's Cassandra Clare. And it wasn't like the stakes weren't so high that I was like, I'm going from one thing and now I got to go into like Queen of Darkness.
For sure. For sure. It's also not like 10 million thousand pages. Like Julian and Emma's series, those books are so big. They're so big. 30 plus.
But arguably, because of the materials the Kickstarter book is made out of, it feels probably as heavy.
You can really whack somebody with this.
I had this on the train today, and I was like, if anybody comes up to me, I have something in my bag, and I got this big-ass book.
You're ready. And, you know, to say for the book, Jason Clary artwork, very pretty in the front. And then the thruple cottage in the back. Like, I mean, arguably my favorite couples, Mark and Christina and King Kieran over here.
Which is funny because when I was reading their chapter, I was like, you go, Christina. Like, good for you. You truly said at the same damn time. But really, Kieran says it at the same damn time, and Mark says at the same damn time. So honestly, I'm just so happy for you. And as we always say on ACOFAE Podcast, triangle is the strongest shape. So here we are. Because again, speaking of kicking it off, I was like, I don't know. We keep kicking it off because we're probably going to be all over the place. But like with Tessa and Will's episode, Jem is constantly the third person in the relationship. Because the first thing they ask when Ragnar gives his little wish gift, they were like simultaneously, they didn't even have to see to each other. Like, we wish for Jem to be back. We wish Jem to not be a silent brother. They're like, he's like, not like that. It's like, wish for a winning lottery ticket or something. Because again, flip it over to where we are in present day, and Tessa's with Jem. Will is still the third person in the relationship all these years together. And even when it was just Will and Jem, Tessa was the third person in the relationship. Just everybody needs to end up together so we can all be happy and have so much love.
King of haunting the narrative, Will Herondale. He just looms over everything. And of course, you know, this is the first story, The Good Storm. This is Will and Tessa's honeymoon in Paris. Jess, I have to ask you, because I've asked you in every single other episode that we've done with Shadowhunters, can you just pick this up? Can you just start here? Casually?
No, per usual. Like, why don't people just listen to you all the time? I've said it before. I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it. If people just learn to listen to you right out the gate, just like, don't question it. Like, even, or if you choose to question things, just be like, what if? Just be like, I know you would be like, you could, but you're not going to have that much of a fun time. Wouldn't you want a fun time when you're reading? Don't you want joy? It's Shadowhunters, so like joy. Is rationed. But you're having so much fun. And I trust you implicitly when it comes to our fantasy journey, which, like, I hope that doesn't put a lot of pressure on you. I hope it makes it fun, because it's such a joy to see these things interconnected. And again, I've only read this once through. So even when we had a section where Anna, they're just like, Anna hasn't been the same, which reminds me of like the whole process of grief, right? You have a before the person you cared about died, and you have an after version of yourself. And I was like, oh, that's right. That person died. And same thing with, again, it's all interconnected. So you have James, Lucy, and Cordelia's story. And Lucy's like writing about love. And she's like, it's honestly so disgusting that like my parents actually love each other more the older they get than less and like being distant. Again, haunting the narrative forever because the standards are always there. And then you go back into the future / present day, over 100 years later, and Will is just always there. There's just this standard that you appreciate once you, even though I've only read it once, it's just like, oh, wait, I remember that. Oh, that's right. That happened. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just a lot in the best way because you're like, wait, even if you don't know exactly, it's there. You're like, oh, that's right. I remember, I might not know the details, but something is there. It was like the first time I saw Isabel's red necklace and Anna had it. I was like, oh, I knew that.
Well, and that's a really great way to kind of bring this into the good storm, because the good storm, we're just going to touch on these very quickly. A lot of these kind of have no consequence until we get to the end, but a lot of them have like really fun Easter eggs. So I will do my best to make sure that those are touched upon. So here in the good storm, Will and Tessa are in Paris. Jess said, they have Ragnar's gift. It's, wish for something small, like a new hat. Of course, we love Ragnar. Ragnar lives. We love him. And they go to a seance. Who's the person running the seance? Oh, well, that's Madame Dorothea. If I had something that wouldn't break, I would throw it. Madame Dorothea, who at the end of this is going to go to New York, who is going to end up living.
Oh my God. That's the neighbor Jocelyn's. Holy, I was like, why is this name familiar? Oh my God. Oh shit. Lifetime. There you go. Live reaction, everybody, to making the connection. She's gonna go live in the first floor of Jocelyn's apartment building, and she's gonna be the one with the Mortal Cup tarot cards, and she's gonna be the one, and the Idol and Demon's gonna say that's her. We know how this person dies. That's crazy because she's feeding, and it sets it up that she's basically feeding off of Will and Tessa's memories. Like Will is thinking about his little sister, that he's like, I'm the tragedy that is
the tragedy that is Will Herondale.
We love you so much, and he carries so much guilt. And he's like, even though he's happy, he's still thinking about his sister. Well, Dorothea picks up on that, and she leans into it and basically creates himself spiraling, where he wishes, he's like, I don't want to think about my sister. And as we know, you have to be specific with your wishes, and Will was not specific. And so he forgot everything.
He forgot
everything that Tessa,
everything.
He wasn't who he is. We talk about this with the, what is it, like the amnesia trope? I don't know what it's officially called, or like, the memory loss trope, I think is what it is. We are not a fan. And we also talk about it in our Eternal Sunshine episode. It's like, you are not who you are if you don't remember all of the things that have made you who you are. So, and Tessa knows this when we get to that point. She's like, you're not, she's like, physically you're you, but like, you're not mine.
You're not mine. And they take him to Dorothea, and they're like, hey, we're going to tell Magnus about this bullshit unless you fix this.
They're all terrified of Magnus.
And they're like, okay, fine. But he's got to want that shit, And so like, yeah, just like you say, Tessa kind of like takes him around Paris and takes him to the music. He's like, I want to go to see the opera. I want to see the music. And he goes there and he doesn't feel anything because pain and joy are interwoven. And kind of the whole theme of all of these stories is like, pain and joy make us who we are. And without one, we are not the same. And without the other, we are a shadow of ourselves. So it's really and also of self-acceptance, and knowing that acceptance of that pain does not make us weaker. It makes us stronger. It says later on in the story, like, love begets love. So that's kind of, what it is too. So obviously this resolves. Of course, they're just on their honeymoon, and we know how he dies. And, Dorothea throws in like, hey, warlocks can sense their own. You're a warlock. He's gonna die. What are you gonna do? And Tessa's like, I'm gonna love him to the best of my ability every single day for the rest of his life.
Dorothea got mad that she got called out on her bullshit and then was trying to like emotionally get a jab in at Tessa. And she was like, I think the fuck not.
Yeah, I think the fuck not. But we know how Dorothea dies. And she's like, I'm going to fuck off to New York. Bye. Bye. Next, the beautiful Iotara. I love this. I am, of course, a sucker for anything with James and Cordelia and Lucy. Like, I love them. Just a fantastic little trio there. But I love, and this is, again, something that I think makes Shadowhunters just uniquely very special and silly and lovely and wonderful, is on a reread, you're just like, oh my gosh, Iotara, because Iotara and Krog show up later with Simon and Isabel, and you're just like, oh, how fun.
She's always lurking because she's like, hello, this isn't the story that I wanted for myself, because, she's kind of a little jaded, but, Belial. I was like trying to spell it out, even though I feel like I just have to stick to the audio version, because then with certain names, I'm like, what? Belial. We know at this point, like timeline wise, this is after the third book of The Last Hours. So that's where we are on a timeline thing. And because, James and Cordelia are married and so happy and content and loving each other. And Lucy's like, what, my brother? Yay, my best friend. But I have my own passions I want to pursue, and I will be damned if I let somebody come in between them, because I really want to marry Jesse. I really want to be engaged. Like, he knows that. But my whole thing is not until I get my first book published. Like, I have goals I want to meet before that happens. And she's really trying to get the beautiful Cordelia published, but because we have Iotara here, she feeds into Lucy, saying, like, as a fake publisher, because she kind of wants to torture her because Belial doesn't exist. She wants her story finished. So she's like, here you go, Lucy, finish it, in a way that sucks Cordelia into the great Cordelia story. And Lucy has to find a way out. But I like that she starts using it against Iotara through malicious compliance. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm doing exactly what you told me to. And Iotara's like, but not like that.
And Iotara is so funny too, because like she's like consort of Belial, and then Belial died, of course, and then there's a new reincarnation of Belial, but he can't let Iotara out because he's not the version of himself that put her in there. It's like this whole thing. So she needs to get an artifact of one of his bloodline to like let her out and like do all of this stuff. And that's Lucy. It's really like just this fun, like silly little plot. But with a lot of commentary on the publishing world and critics and writing and how hard it is to be a writer and how everybody thinks it's just so easy to pick up and finish a story, but it's actually really difficult and has to be really satisfying, and everybody thinks they know what they want. And I really liked that kind of just like...
And sometimes the character, when we talk, because we've had how many times have we had different authors on the podcast saying like, the characters kind of, I had an idea and the characters kind of took off on their own. And that very much happens with Lucy's story too, as this was happening. But it was also a way, like both literally and metaphorically, of rewriting your stories are a part of you, but not all of you, and how the journey can continue.
Yeah. And also that, you can finish a chapter and it is okay to grow up and kind of like move on. 'Cause that's kind of what Lucy does here, is that she saves the day. She writes everything to everybody's conclusion. She turns Krog into a beautiful like man for Iotara, and they go off and rule the world together, for all time, forever. We'll see them again later. And they're in love. But Lucy's like, then you know what? Like, that's cool. Like, I am done with this. Like, it's good. I am going to start this like new chapter in my life. I'm going to get engaged with Jesse, and it's going to be this wonderful life. And I am growing up, and that's kind of how it ends. But because these are all like kind of love stories. So like Will and Tessa's story was like, he didn't want to remember any pain. So he forgot like Tessa, and like joy and pain is interwoven. This one was like, Cordelia is a little bit worried that James was kind of in love with the adventure of the two of them running around together. And now that they're settled into domestic life, she's wondering if he's bored, and that if they need that like constant stimuli to keep their passion together. And James is like, whoa, no. No. Don't you worry about that. Get upstairs for some fucking. That's kind of how all of these end. Like,
it really is. You're so right. Because you're happy for all of them. Because I swear, because like Anna and Ari are like literally all of them now that you were saying it. Because it's like, I think I made a note when I was like making my own notes of like Shadowhunters. Like, you know, some people are like, oh, work hard, party harder. They save the world so hard. And they do everything else harder. Because it's like, they're, and we know this because it's like, through all of the you know, they love so hard, they love so passionately, they love so deeply because they're on a different timeline. They're constantly saving the world. So I also love that maybe it doesn't always have to be this adventure, because I think they're like, we need a break. Let's go to Constantinople for, you know what, we're just going to extend our stay. We're also going to go to India. Also, let's go to Paris. We always talk about Paris. So I love that they're just like, we're going to take a breath, because when's the other shoe gonna drop? When do we gotta do this all over again?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that's the next. The next one is Who the Wolf Loves. Now, this one I could not care less about.
Thank God. I didn't know if I was an asshole for thinking that, because I was like, do we need it? It's probably might be my least favorite one. It's just when Jocelyn was
in her coma.
That's because that was the timeline. She's just in a coma, and he's just talking to her like, please wake up. This is, I knew I've loved you forever. Like, let's do this.
It cold opens, with a reflection on Clary and Luke talking in the car, and she's kind of confronting him like, what are you going to tell my mom that you're in love with her? And then Luke kind of goes to the hospital and is like, basically she called out my ass, and I'm going to write it all down. So here we go. Here's my thing with it is like, this is a story that we don't know, because the bomb that's dropped here is that they were fucking while Clary was already in there. So, hey.
I didn't know if I was like, did I hear that right? Because that's when but it's solidified when he's like, oh, it's Valentine's.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was Jocelyn once she was pregnant with Jonathan. She was very much like, cold stop, but we can be friends. And like, Luke is just so desperately in love with her. He's like, I'll take whatever you can give me.
Yeah. And it is like Luke's story. We didn't know any of this stuff. So it kind of flushes it out. It's just the circle gets covered over and over and over again, which is like good. I mean, obviously lessons have not been learned. But
did we need it though? Like, it doesn't add to this. Like, could we have had, I mean, I know we talked about this before, that there's a reason we didn't have Alec and Magnus, but would have happily replaced this chapter of the anthology with another Magnus. They didn't even need to have anything high stakes. They could have just brought the fam back down to South America, and then like, let's have a day at the beach. And then like, they just decided to follow this, like the hermit crab or something.
Yeah, it was just like, the things that we learn here is that they actually hooked up in secret while they were in Paris before she leaves him. And then, he finds her in New York, which we already like knew. I guess we know now that why Luke's mom went to the Citadel, why he didn't have like a relationship with his dad, and like why Amatis kind of resented him. So, I guess all of that kind of makes sense. Again, I just don't care very much. So, moving on to Zachary's Day Out with Alistair and Thomas. Jess, I know you love this.
I thought it was so funny because you have Thomas, you have Alistair, they're together. I completely forgot that Alistair and Cordelia's mom was pregnant at the same time that their dad died. So she was pregnant with and he died of alcoholism. No, he was killed. He was another one. He was killed. We thought he was going the alcoholism, liver failure route, but he was killed. And her mom was pregnant, and that was the whole, Cordelia was like, oh my gosh, where do I go? Do I, help take care of you? And her mom's like, go get fucked, literally, with your hot-ass husband. And so it was really just, babysitting day. It was just Thomas and Alistair have a day of babysitting his little brother. Magic ensues, and baby Zachary turns into adult Zachary with a toddler baby attitude about growing up. And it's really just the adventures that they go on and trying to reel Alistair's little brother back in, which is so funny that he knew immediately to go to the Hell Ruel. And I was like, Hell Ruel!
Yeah, and we also run into Charlotte and see her struggling with raising two babies.
Did we know? You probably did. I didn't remember. Again, she had twins. But who are they? We haven't had any story about them. No,
not really. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is just nice, and one of them's named Branwell. We can call him Willie. That was just fun. It was real sweet. This one's basically about Alistair realizing that the way that he was raised is not the only way, is not the right way. And Thomas is kind of very gently guiding him to see that he's allowed to be playful and he's allowed to not be serious. And just because he had the responsibility of taking care of his alcoholic father growing up his entire life, that is not the life that his brother's going to have. And so he doesn't need to have, lessons about strategic, battles and Waterloo and all of the generals and the admirals. He can just play with his lion. And that is so fun. And again, another little fun thing. We've got a Zachary Carstairs, brother Zachary. That's why we're choosing these names. We love it, Jem. Throw it back to the Carstairs. Brother Snackariah. We love it. So. This one is just really fun. There was and here's another thing too. I'm interested to see where this magic mirror came from. I know it was a fairy artifact that they had that was in the laboratory, that Henry had in the laboratory. But he's like, yeah, I got it from somebody. Where though?
That'll make it. I feel like that's one of those things that I don't think we're overlooking. I feel that that's something that Cassie has down the line, where you're just that Leo DiCaprio meme, just start pointing at the TV. That's what I feel. Wait, I know this. This is from that thing. But I also think I love when we get to see, I was a straight up Alistair hater. We know this, for a while. And Thomas is really hey, remember when you were an asshole growing up? But look how much that you're willing to peel your layers for me, and hey, if you ever want to feel safe, you can still be a child around me. You can still have humor around me. I can be that safe space that you never had.
Yeah.
Now let's get to fucking.
That's what they do. They pull each other into the bedroom at the end. Of course, they're living together, and I just can't picture how hot, 3-piece suits, tall, strapping men,
suspenders.
It's
jazz.
And then, but also remember they're covered in tattoo, runes, right? Black, you're suspended.
What we could have had, BBC.
What we could have had, BBC. All right. Judgment of King Kieran, my favorite throuple in the world. I want to remind everybody, because everybody has, again, a lot of opinions about Cassie Clare. Do your own research. I want to remind everybody that when Emma and Julian's books, The Dark Artifices, when those came out, there was such tremendous backlash to the inclusion of trans and gay characters. People were absolutely just livid about this. Said, why are you making everybody gay? Why is everybody like this? It's not like this in real life. Over and over and over again. I'm telling you.
Meanwhile, it is exactly like this in real life, and how many people, and because of those conversations, is the same exact reason why, one, it's important that these conversations are at the forefront, but two, it's also the same reason why people are still so quiet and closeted for a multitude of reasons. Because of that commentary, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to love and be loved by the people that I like, however I see fit, without everybody giving some sort of commentary on it.
Yep. I think it's important to remember that that was such a huge part of this, the Dark Artifices book release when it came out. It was a time, it was a place, it was not that long ago. And I think upon reflection, it was a really big indicator of where things were going. And
because that wasn't that long. It was not. When did that? 2016, and I feel like it wasn't solidified in that first book, but by book 3, December 2018.
Yeah.
So it's like, not long ago.
Yeah. Really good indicator of things that were to come. Hindsight's 2020, but the ruckus that was kicked up about this. All right, moving on. So this is my favorite throuple. It's Kieran. It's Mark. It's Christina. The Knight of Storms is dead. That's fun because that shows up later. The Knight of Storms, just another little. You're like, oh, it's like a double callback. So that's very fun. This one is really about internal court politics, which I thought was very fun. Of course, I love the politics of fairy, but also just about Kieran keeping part of himself hidden from his throuple, and his throuple being like, Kieran, you can show all sides of yourself. We love all of you. And if that isn't how it should be, then I don't know what is.
Well, and I also like that the court picked up on Kieran. They were like, an unhappy king is not going to be a good king.
Oh, yeah. General Winter is the real one. He's like, yo.
He's like, you can't. And on a bigger, it wasn't like, oh, we care about your happiness. It really was like, no, we care about our court. We care about politics, but you can't be an effective ruler and you can't be an effective leader if you aren't the best version of yourself. And the best version of yourself comes with your two significant others who are, even though the fairy don't love it, they are Shadowhunters, and they are like, you are going to be more effective if you're with everyone. So that's kind of why we had to be a little, I wouldn't say off-putting, but they were like, they had to make little fairy happenings happen. Deceitfulness. Fairy deceit, I guess you could say.
Fairy deceit. Remember, in this universe, fairies can't lie, so they have to be incredibly manipulative. So General Winters is like using every single possible way to manipulate the king's orders to get Mark and Christina to come to the palace, because the Knight of Storms is dead and Kieran has got to choose a successor from his 3 heirs. That's very fun, and it's a little mystery that they go on. It ends up being Finian, who is... Dude, this is very interesting because this has sniffings of plot for the new series that's coming out, right? It has sniffings of plot because Abayan comes back from the Sealy court and he's like, yeah, the queen's got this new lover. It's this guy in a hawk mask. He's immortal. That's cool. He's doing all that stuff for the queen. That's cool.
I have a question, and I know it's kind of laid out, and I'm interested to see how it will be bigger picture. Even though I know we know fairies can't lie, but it's brought in this time, the first time in all of the Shadowhunters books, that Finian is lying, which fairies can't lie, and then he lies. I don't know if you're like cheering that I'm picking up on this. but he is able to lie, but then has adverse side effects. Like every time he lies, he coughs. Every time he lies, he's choking up blood. There is some sort of implication. So my question is then like, you're lying, but there are consequences. What else is going on with Finian? Like, how are you, the fairy, able to? Because he's not half fae.
Yeah, no. So towards the end of this, after Kieran's like judgment, he judges that, you know, they're just going to split the office of Storm Conqueror or whatever. It's going to be Storm Champion and Storm Counselor, whatever. So Finian has been stealing vials of blood that he stole from the palace treasury, and he is coughing. He has been enchanted with the ability to be able to lie. He has got like demonic symbols carved inside of his mouth. And somebody did that to him. But because of the phrasing that Kieran uses, the big, dumb, stupid, strong air of Storms kills Finian before we're able to figure out who did that to him and why. So, like, yes, Jess, exactly. The fact that is introduced here and it is something that can be done is new to everybody.
I think it just opens up a whole, like, what does this, I don't know if it's a Wicked Powers thing, but I'm just saying, I think we're over 20 something books. And this is the first time that this enchantment has been done in fairy. Like, that is my thing. Cause like how and if it's been done once now, that means it must have been done before. And it's arguably not going to be the last.
Yeah. So and again, this is just so interesting too, because this is Kickstarter stuff. This is like, but it's here. And how fun is this? So again, you know, you bring up the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. When this shows up, we're just gonna be like, ooh.
Yeah, because now, I mean, I know you asked before, you're like, could you just pick this up? No. But if you've read everything, you would want to, because then, again, we have to see how everything plays out. This doesn't feel like, you know how some people argue, bonus chapters are just extra chapters. They don't mean anything to the story. But, you know, SJM spoiler, that's becoming less of the case with some authors' works. So what does that also mean? Because if this wasn't picked up traditionally published, it would just be more for us as the fans. But you would have to assume then there's no, like, this is separate from the entire plot, which now that a traditional publisher picked it up, it's not.
It's not. Oh, it's good stuff. So what do we have? That one kind of wraps up very happily. You know everybody, but this is kind of like hanging over their head of like, who did this to Finian? Okay. A Surfeit of Anna's. This one is absolutely hilarious. This one is fantastic. The love that I have for Anna Lightwood is just amazing.
Would you be in the Anna Lightwood Appreciation Society established 1901?
That is hilarious. Ariadne's like, are you shitting me? Are you absolutely shitting me? You have a fan club?
I love that the head of the fan club, they were like, you, Ariadne,
we don't accept you.
You're actually not the favorite. You're actually poorly looked down on from all the members.
Oh
Anna's a baddie. We all would have been weak for Anna, I think.
So this one's very fun because we have some callbacks here, which are amazing. But also, Jessica Marie, we have one of your favorite characters popping up.
Is it the fish? Is it the fish stripper? Because I was like, I know you.
You're like, I know you.
I know you. From the bachelor party, from the birthday party. So I was like, Clarabelle and Arabella.
Yeah, Clarabelle is the reverse mermaid from James's bachelor party.
I was dying.
No, I was saying Matthew Fairchild, but like, Arabella.
I was so excited. I was like, I know this one.
Matthew Fairchild, back from travels, happy, healthy, sober, and has a boyfriend. We love that. We love to see Matthew shine.
I know. I wish granted, I just feel like he was kind of sprinkled in here. I was going to say, I hope we get more of him, but like we're in the 2020s and when we get the wicked powers, so probably not so much.
Probably not so much, but never say never.
Say never. I'm learning not to with Cassandra Clare because if her anthologies have anything to prove, our characters are never truly gone.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Matthew's throwing a party at the Hell Ruel. He's back in town for a little bit. He wants to introduce his boyfriend to everybody. Anna has been depressed for a year since Kit died in Belial's takeover of London. Ariadne's like, hey, Anna, you're kind of depressed. We should go out. Anna goes out. Everybody celebrates. Everyone's like, Anna! Oh my gosh. To the point where Anna has to get up on stage and say, hey, everybody here, fuck off. I am off the market. I'm in love with one woman. And if that bothers you, too bad. And leave me alone.
The meltdown that ensued, too. That's the best part. Where Ari is just like, she's checking the mail and she's like, you have fan mail. There are tears on these. What did you do?
What did you do? And of course, like, towards the end of this, they're kind of like laughing about it because it's all been like kind of sorted. And Ariadne's like kind of teasing her. And it's just like, well, I think it's just because these women... Or no, Anna is just like, well, I just thought it was because women just haven't been pleasured. And I was the first one to give them like true pleasure. And Ariadne's like, I think that's like a worldwide issue. So let's keep you here. Let's keep you here in London.
With me.
Amazing.
I adore them. And I really was so reluctant again with Ari because for them, it's a second chance romance. And honestly, Ari broke Anna's heart. And I was like, nobody breaks Anna Lightwood's heart. And she kept up. She was like, you know what? I'm never going to love again. I'm just going to fuck around and make people desperately in love with me without having to lift a finger. Well, she probably did.
Several.
But I totally, I love that they worked through. Because again, we have to remember Ari was... this is the 1800s, early 1900s. There are certain stigmas and the families that were involved. And, yes, it was the Shadowhunters. Yes, it's Cassie Clare's world. And it's still very much the times, but not everybody was able to be as vocal about it, specifically with Ari. And she comes around and here we are and they're having their happy ending. And again, they get to fuck.
Yeah, they get to fuck him. This is really fun. We're laughing about Clarabella and Arabella. Arabella's uncle is the Knight of Storms. Arabella's uncle is the Knight of Storms. I just think that's fun because the order that this is laid out in, we just had all of that with the Knight of Storms. So now it's like, oh my God. And we have Clarabella? Are you serious? A double callback?
Talk about just the cherry on top.
Amazing. This story is about Arabella feeling rejected from Anna, and it's kind of a Little Mermaid thing. It's like, didn't she appreciate how painful it was for me to walk on land for her, and I go and see her, and she's just like, no, I'm with somebody else, and she's jealous. So she goes to her uncle, the Knight of Storms, and is like, hey, make me an Anna, and he makes her what? How many? 14? Yeah, 14 Annas, and Arabella just kind of sets them loose on the world to create havoc, basically for Ari, and she sees Lucy and Ari see an Anna with a woman in the park. Ari stumbles across an Anna making out with another woman on their front porch. She's just like, what the fuck? But props to Ari's mom, who was like, yo, just go talk to her. This is some magical shit. She doesn't act like this. Stop being insecure about your relationship and know Anna, because she would not do this. And also, you saw that weird shit on your patrol, so obviously that's magic. Get it together.
Yeah, so I feel like the magic thing was like, she used her patrol to be the loophole, to be like, this is why you have to investigate it.
Yeah.
It is your Shadowhunter duty. Logic. She was like...
It is your duty to go spy on your girlfriend.
Yeah. She's like, let me use logic to get it. Because that's always like, you and I have had this discussion. I was like, oh, if you like explain to me logically, that would make sense where I would go into the next steps. And you were like, yeah. Because editor Sam had to appeal to, he's like, he didn't use logic with me. He used a different way, and he goes, and that worked with me. And I like that. And I also appreciate that Ari had said that her mom choosing Anna instead of immediately siding with her was like the acceptance of like, oh, if she's telling me to go with Anna, like that felt like more acceptance for her and her relationship with Anna than anything, because she's like, my mom always sides with me. What do you mean she's siding with Anna? So it was like, she sees Anna as family too.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, good stuff. This was about recognizing Anna and her pain. And there's a fairy trial that Ari wins because she is able to recognize Anna in a sea of Annas. And just like you said, they get to fucking in the end. We love that. We love that. I have to say, me personally, I was so delighted to be back with Emma and Julian. I love Emma and Julian. I just think they're the best. So to have them, which is like so spoiled too, because we have them in the Blackthorn stories too. But this was just lovely. Like, oh, how fun.
I feel like we get a lot of them now because they're the present day. I use that in air quotes. Like, they are the most recent version of Shadowhunters, more or less, in a timeline perspective. Because even though the third book of The Last Hours came, like if we're talking about the trilogies, is the most recent release of those books, we know the third book and The Dark Artifices is the most recent timeline wise, because that's, again, all Shadowhunter spoilers. That is, Magnus and Alec are married. Tess and Jem are together. We know Mina exists. Like, their stories are where we are most present in, even with the Kickstarter and the free Tumblr access, Blackthorn Hall. We know where we're at with Mina and where the stakes are and where they're getting picked up for the wicked powers. So from a timeline perspective, it's like, we know where we get them. I love them. How much I love Julian.
I love them. Okay, I love Julian so much. I loved this story too, because this story is about knowing your partner, but also holding true and like holding faith and just like knowing that the person that you have chosen accepts all of you. And I thought that was very important. So this story fucking slaps, because we get Thule Emma, and that is awesome. How did Thule Emma get here? Oh my God. That is kind of like the whole driving force through this whole thing. Because it starts off with like Julian's with another girl at the club, and Emma's like, okay, Diana.
I like, she doesn't wait around. She's like, we're not waiting around. She's like, because then they're like, oh, where are we going? She's like, we're going to ask Jules some questions.
We're going to go right now.
We're going to just be so direct. Because this is also pretty fresh from where they are in their established relation. Like, they're very much in love with each other. There's no doubt about that. But it's still new. They're still exploring it. Like, it is their gap year or their travel year. They know that they're working towards Blackthorn Hall. We also know that this part in the anthology is before that book. So we're, and I like how they're between LA and London, and, they're still processing their relationship, but trust each other to an extent. Because even though there are speculations happening, you have Emma, her constant dialogue. She's like, but he's lied to you before. And some of it was like lies by omission, right? Like, it's the smallest thing. He didn't tell you that he was in love with you. Like, he didn't tell you this other thing. He tried to protect you with this other thing. So the foundation, as much as like, it's still settling.
And the thing with this too is that Julian is vicious. Julian is like this, he can turn into this single-minded, vicious creature that will protect and do anything. This man killed his own father point blank as a child. You don't fuck with Julian Blackthorn. You do not fuck with Julian Blackthorn.
That's like, man.
That is the man. Like, oh my God, he will fuck you up. And on the other side of that is his deep love for his family and Emma. And that's kind of it too. Because so we have Thule Emma, who made it through. She's over here. She's on a single-minded mission to kill Julian and Emma, essentially, however she can, out of revenge, because they killed her Julian. So she seeks him out. They go through they fight. They try to, all of this stuff. She's trying to kill them. They are trying to capture her because they need to find out, one, how she got here, two, how Livy's doing. How Thule Livy's doing, because Julian is haunted that he left her. Kind of the same thing that Will is going through in the first story. Like, I left her there. Like, she's not happy. She can't move on. I'm worried about her. She's not safe. Like, she's alone. Like, I can't do anything to help. It's just kind of this like guilt that Julian carries, because that is just what we do with Julian. I think that obviously this story is hard for Julian. It's very hard for Emma. I think it's a little bit harder for Emma just because it's her. She's like looking straight into herself. But Thule Emma starts spewing the most acidic bullshit to them to try just to like erode their relationship throughout the course of this story. And Thule Emma is just like, well, I felt in the club that he wanted me. He loves your rage and your fire and your passion. And now what do? You drink tea and read books. He doesn't want that. Julian's a leader. Julian needs the fire. Julian needs the hunt. Who are you? Like, what is this life that you have?
Which is, in a way, the same. I mean, I don't want to say full circle, but you go back to Cordelia of it all. Like, as much as we know truth, and this is very human of everybody, it's the voice in the back of your head that are the what ifs. Like, even if it's for an inkling of a second, you have this version of yourself that's saying it. And it's a version of yourself that you can also relate to. And it's kind of like the same conversations you and I recently had about a character where it's, there are parts of yourself that you don't like, but you still have to acknowledge them. And I feel like that's where Emma is sometimes, even though she knows that that's not like Julian loves her, but you have Thule Emma. And this is such a tangent that made me think, what was the chapter book that Clary got kidnapped? And we were like, come on, Clary, you're a Virgo. And we knew it was like a Thule version. And we were wondering when she was going to snap out of it.
Ooh,
she got like thrown.
I don't know. I cannot think of it.
No,
yeah.
But that's what this chapter reminded me of with Thule Emma. I was like, I again, one read through, I'm like, it wasn't Thule Emma. It was like a Thule Clary, where we were like, wake up. Everybody needs to wake up. And Clary doesn't have her fault. We were like, she's smart. She's a Virgo. She needs to get out of this. There's no way but that's what this chapter reminded me of.
Yeah. No, that was with Janice, which is really great because that's how this story ends. Okay. So, we love Julian. Here's a really fantastic example. So they've kind of like bargained with Thule Emma. They've chased her into the sea caves, which is very traumatic for, our Emma. And they have a fight. Emma's like paralyzed with poison, all of this stuff. They talk her down. She gives them this choice. Like, I will tell you either about Livy or I'll tell you how I got here, one or the other. Julian does this fantastic thing where he's like trying to get through to her. And he's like, don't you understand, Emma? Like, I love all of her and I can't kill you. Like, you're just like too much like her. And Thule Emma's like, oh, you know, da 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 da. I just want my Julian. And he opens his arms. He goes, oh, Emma, I'm right here. And she rushes to him and crumples against him. And he takes 2 fucking daggers and daggers her through the shoulders so hard that she's like hanging into the stone wall of the cave. Julian, Blackthorn, everybody. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
The way that it's just, you knew I loved him, like the protector that he is. Like, hell hath no fury.
Julian Blackthorn will fuck you up. He will fuck you up.
So hot.
He calls in.
Sexy.
He calls in his debt to the Kelpie from their book, and the Kelpie saves them. Of course, we love that. And this is where we get again. There is a man in a hawk mask guarding the doorways between worlds. He was looking for somebody else. But he let me through. Yeah, who are you looking for? We know who that is. We know who he's looking for. We'll get to that. But Thule Emma says that he let me through. He said that it would kill me here. I was not who he wanted, but he took pity on me. And that's fucking that, man. It's a hawk mask doorway guardian. And then Thule Emma dissolves. And I think this is horrifying. This is like this just like horrifying thing, because to Julian and Emma, she dissolves. She's dead. To Thule Emma, she is still consciousness. Floating, her spirit is still floating over like Venice Beach, LA, and she's like dissolving in pain, and she is in the ultimate version of her hell because her spirit is forever separated from her Julian. So she is just like floating here in rage, kind of just like circling the planet without a body, forever separated from her love. And if that doesn't come back, I don't know what. But I think that personally is fucking scary because nobody knows that she's there. Anyway.
And at the same time, again, to that floating concept, we still don't have any like thing. There is no perfect ribbon with what's going on with Thule. That's the thing. Like, Thule has been an underlying, recurring conversation in all of the present day things that we've been reading, whether it was a story, whether it was a one shot, whether it was, we keep seeing these pop-ups of Thule one way or the other. Just like I said, I was like, was that Clary? Which book was it? Which chapter was it? Because it wasn't the end of the 3rd book in the Dark Artifices. It was something. And here it is popping up again.
Yeah. And exactly. And here it is popping up again. Who is in the hawk mask? Well, that is Jace, Thule Jace, Earth Janus. And let's remember, he's over there with Ash in the Sealy Court. And that's how Emma got here, because he's looking for Raphael, because he struck the deal to get Raphael back. You see, it's all there. And if you don't know, you don't know. But if you do know, then you know that is just this huge chunk of the story that is going to have a big implications for the wicked powers. Like,
I was just going to say, because like how did Cassie intend to write this for a Kickstarter? Because this keeps setting up for the wicked powers.
Yeah, it does. Okay. We're running long. We know it. Let's go through City of Broken Hearts.
Your favorite, officially?
Not my favorite story necessarily. I'm just so happy to have some more information about Simon and Isabel. I feel like they just get left out of a lot of things, or just like touched on.
And they're working together. I feel like you always see them in conversations. Like, I feel like it's been a while since we've seen kind of like a team up with them. Because usually the team up is like, oh, we'll forego our engagement party, or, oh, we're just having this conversation. But they kind of do the mission together here, which is what we don't usually see.
Yeah. So this one's kind of complicated, but let's really simplify this so we can move on to the 2 big ones, which are really story impactful. Probably for the wicked powers. Okay. She's back. And I just love this. I just love this so much. Ayatara is here and she has been dumped by Krog. And you know what? That's fucked up. And you know, Iago told Krog that Ayatara had been cheating on him with someone on Earth and with someone good, and making her go to soup kitchens and someone pure out of the, you know, pure of heart. And Krog can't stand that, and he can't stand to look at her. So he dumps her and he turned into a frog because she can't accept his true frog form. And he's in Central Park as a frog. And Ayatara, upset with this, has released a column of hearts into New York City, and the hearts turn black, and everybody around them is having intense, crazy relationship problems. Imagine that scene in Ghostbusters where the ghosts are just freaking out, but then it is just couples fighting. So maybe Ghostbusters 2 with the slime underneath, making everybody fight. So like how fun that is, just like the like catalyst for what is happening. And that brings out all of these issues that Simon is having. Simon being offered a job at the Scholomance to find and train mundanes. And so when you're posting, he needs to be there. Isabel, come with me. Isabel, no.
I love Isabel. She always stands her ground.
Absolutely. Hell yeah, Isabel. Hell yeah. Simon. Well, damn, Isabel. That was fucking scary to ask you, and you just fucking rejected me. God damn, my feelings are hurt. Isabel. Well, why would you want to go there without me? And that is like kind of their fight throughout the whole thing. And of course there's other like issues there. Essentially, like Simon still doesn't realize that Isabel loves him, and he doesn't realize that he feels like he doesn't deserve her. And Isabel is just like, wake up, you're wonderful. And this is kind of like Simon's self-confidence thing, because it starts off with the band. He's like not really confident with the band. He kind of misses it, and da-da-da-da-da-da.
Well, and it's always been part of Simon's insecurity into this world, because we have to remember, like, that boy has been through it. He has been a human. He has been kind of a vampire. Then he has died, and then he has come back, and then he had to go through, let's not forget, as a mundane, he had to go through the Shadowhunters series, and then hope that you don't die after the academy, because your body either takes it or you're like, meh. Sorry, you can't. You're dead. And you don't know until that moment, even if you did everything right. You did all the schooling, you did all the challenges, you met all the physical demands. You could still die before you even do anything. So, like, honestly, if I had gone through all of that, I'd probably be a little bit more confident. I'm not going to lie. I'd probably be like, actually, I'd be like, fuck you, science. Look at everything I defied. But Simon isn't there. Simon isn't there yet, but that's always just kind of been a little bit of who Simon is, and that Izzy has always found also endearing. At the same time, wake the fuck up. But I do understand this part in the relationship, and I've personally been through there, where the person I was in a relationship with, they had made a decision, and they hadn't even consulted me, even though we were in a long-term relationship. And I remember thinking, when I was posed the same question, it was very much you know what, I really can't give you an answer. I have to speak with my significant other before and all to find out that he had that conversation already. I was like, what do you mean? Because that's how I feel like Izzy felt too. She's like, you already made that. You're asking me to go with you. You didn't even think to say, hey, like, let me run. We're in this partnership together at this point.
Yeah, and that is kind of mirrored with what's going on with Krog and Ayadara too, because Iago, it's this whole thing with Iago. It's very cute. It's very funny. It's the plot of Othello. Just, you know, look that up. But they work everything out. Everything is fine. At the end of this, they involve Jason Clary, which is fun. They get to talk to a Shax demon. It's very fun. Jason's very funny. But at the end of this, Simon ends up proposing. There's this whole thing with Star Wars where they have this whole fight about Star Wars, which I think is very funny. And I really like Isabel's take on that scene. I just like that she was assumed to not have been paying attention at all. And then as soon as he starts throwing out this nerd lore, she's like, you know what? Actually, though, shut up, because this is the way that I took it. And I think you're taking it all wrong. And I love that she did that. And I love this proposal at the end. They really hash out their issues. Simon says like why he wanted to take the job, why he wanted to start their life together. And they end with a Star Wars quote. And, you know, eventually they will be married, because we go into the time of 2 where it has been decided that it's going to be a double wedding with Isabel, Simon, Jason Clary.
Which I know Cassandra Clare has teased this on her social medias too. And, you know, and it's always like, well, if they survive. And it's always, if they survive, the next thing. And I feel like that's always part of Shadowhunters. But also, I don't blame them for being like, let's have a double wedding. Let's get this over with. Time is short. Time is money. Money is time. And they are still dealing with the Thule of it all. We are in present day. This is at that point in Shadowhunters where, like, you have the Mortal Instrument stories going on and you have the Dark Artifice stories. Like, we are officially at that crossover, because we also know of Clary being kind of a mentor of sorts with Emma.
Yes. This one, just you asked, this is my favorite. This is my favorite story of the anthology, because this one is about, some of it's about romantic love, but a lot of it is about family and about forgiveness and about deconstruction and like unlearning. And I think that is a really important conversation to have, especially because Maris is older. So I took a lot of that from it and giggled with Jason Clary fucking in his house. I think that was hilarious. Okay. But what is this? Maris, the wedding isn't going to happen until this whole business with the cohort is over. And Clary just doesn't see that happening anytime soon. So she's a little bit depressed about the wedding. She just doesn't think it's going to happen. So that's kind of her mindset. And then Maris shows up into the Institute looking for her family ring and ends up spilling that she is really missing her brother. And we learn that her brother, Max, had been stripped of his marks when he was 18 because he chose to fall in love and marry a mundane. And that's a big no-no. We know that's a big no-no. We know that. So he's gone, no contact. And Maris was, at her words, very brainwashed at the time, very indoctrinated, the law is hard, but it is the law, no wiggle room situations. And she tells Jason Clary, like, I started thinking, like, holy shit, would I do that to Alec? Like, no, I accepted Alec with my, it took a little bit of time, but I got there. I love Magnus. I love my grandchildren. I cannot imagine my life without them. So I would like my brother back into my life, but I am such a shadow hunter that I don't know how to find him. And that's when Jason Clary take over.
I like that there is, I don't know, I feel like it's not every time, but with Maris specifically, and it goes to what you said, there is growth in areas that you sometimes have already lost hope on. I feel like a lot of us feel that way, especially with, like, if you are directly involved with boomers who haven't always supported you, or just like it feels like they all went to the same school because it's such a generational thing. To see Maris's growth is, I feel like, something that we're seeing at some points in real time in our lives as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just like really lovely to see it. It was something I wasn't expecting. I was expecting like some sort of like, I don't know, some weird couple here, maybe her and Kadir, but this was just this wonderful family connection, that unexpected, wonderful. And it's going to have, I think, huge implications for the Wicked Powers, because Jason Clary it takes 8 hours to get outside of Philly. Bless, they don't have a car. And
transit must have gone down, because all it is like an hour Amtrak from New York
they
to
took
Philly.
They didn't make it. It took a long time. But they get there. He's outside of Philly, in Fort Washington. And they walk up to the front door and they introduce themselves. They say, hello. We'd like to invite you to a wedding. And Max is the brother, is very angry. He's He's very upset. He makes he asks them to leave, get off my property, all of that stuff. And it is through the course of like a day and a night of interaction with Max that Jason Clary kind of get the full story of what happened, kind of get him out of his shell, kind of get him on their side, and with a tentative like truce towards the end of it. But it was interesting to see this perspective from somebody that, while they were rejected from the clave and while that was their choice to do, it was a bad choice to have been given. Like, they shouldn't have had to make that choice at all, to be stripped of their marks and to leave the clave. Like, that shouldn't like be the thing, but he did do that. So now he is living in the mundane world as a mundane, but keeping tabs on what's happening. And something that I found really interesting that I really liked that was explored here was this like guilt and a little bit of shame and embarrassment, because Max says like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go back and see my sister and tell her that like the life and the woman that I gave up all of this for died. And I didn't even have a full life with her. I had just like this small little chunk of life with her. And now I'm fucking alone and isolated from my entire family. Like, and that feeling of like shame and a little bit of embarrassment is just something that you just don't see a lot of, I feel like, in books.
And I mean, at the same time, it was shame and embarrassment. It's because of like the societal expectations, because it's what was put on him. And it feels like and especially when you're isolated and you're only with your thoughts and you don't have any other things going on, you're just like, you start questioning. I feel like like you said, I left them. I was alone. Should I have done it? Did I do the right thing? And you're 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and you are an outsider looking in. It's like, you're keeping track of everything. I think of like parents who might, or family who might keep clippings and tabs on all these people, but you can't have that direct contact. But at the same time, I feel bad for Max, because it wasn't like he was in the wrong. It's just the society is making him feel like that way, when it should have always been the reverse. You should feel shameful that you ostracized him, that he couldn't communicate with anybody and he was isolated.
Yeah. And he says like, it was really hard. And later when he talks to Jace in the night, later that night, he says like he has this immense guilt, big brother guilt. He's like, I told Maris that I'd be back. I told her I would be back, and then I said like, later I said, I'll come back. And she told me, don't. And it's just this like feeling of loss, and like, I shouldn't have walked away. She's my little sister. I knew what this stigma was going to do to her, but I was like selfishly in love and I didn't care. And this exploration of these feelings from this grown man was just really refreshing to see, and is something that I just don't feel like is explored a lot in the books that we read, but was really lovely to see here. And I hope that we get to see more of Max as a character later on.
And explored in adults. I think that's also, like I say adults, like we're not adults, but I think that's like implied, because it is a generational thing to see. And you know what, for all we know, Cassie's like, this is my hope in the world, that the older adults start taking this route too.
It's like, please. So all of this to kind of boil down to the fact that Max made a discovery. And his initial thought when Jason Clary showed up was that the clave had finally figured out that he had this and that they were going to take it from him. But Jason Clary, like, what the absolute fuck are you talking about, my guy? What are you on about? Max has a prophecy/manuscript that he found in London that is prophesizing the end of all Shadowhunters. Well, Max, why are you talking about it now? Because now the clave has been split. There are 2 claves. There are 2 councils. And in this prophecy/manuscript of the end of all Shadowhunters, it is called the Time of Two. So that, that is what's happening right now. So like, y'all should know about this, y'all. Y'all should know.
Well, and let's not forget that, and I know I was fortunate enough to go to the Cassie Clare when she announced the Wicked Powers, when was it, December 2024? And she said the last book of that trilogy was going to be called The Last Shadowhunter.
We love it. We love it. We love it. And we also learn in this manuscript that Max has is there's a weapon out there that is there to save us. And he says that there's a problem with the translation. He's not sure if we need to find it or if we have to make it. So I'm sure that will come into play. Like, you can't just put that shit there.
I feel like the play on words is such a Shadowhunters thing because that happened in the Last Hours too, or Last Hours as well, not necessarily book 2, with the play on words where Cordelia was like, she wasn't sure and she was taking it one way, and here we are like hearing about it in book 2 of the Last Hours, and then in book 3 they were like, haha, got you, we actually meant this other thing.
Yeah, it's good shit. It's good shit. So Max gives Jason Clary the manuscript and he says like, hey, invite me to the wedding. We'll see. And I will help you with the code if you need it. Just give me a call. You know where I am. And then Jason Clary portal away. And then that's the end of that one. Obviously setting up for the Wicked Powers. Obviously. And then we have this one, which is like just so Wicked Power coded. It is just ridiculous. This is Neem. Now, who is Neem? Neem has been this like character in the background for a lot of these books. And we see her when Shadowhunters come into the fairy court sometimes. She's like, because of my love for Mark and Helen, I will take care of you, but I don't really like you. Come follow me. She does that a few times when Shadowhunters come into Fairy. But this is Neem's point of view, watching the Queen of Fairy fall in love and then get her heart broken by Sebastian Morgenstern.
Which is like, this part, I even feel like reading it, I was like, wait, Sebastian, because this isn't Thule Sebastian. It is.
No,
that's because no, it's not Thule Sebastian, because we left off that he was kind of left here, which is also where we get like Thule J, like everybody. This is where we're like him being in Fairy. This is where him being in Fairy. We knew we're like, well, that's not good. That's where I remember leaving off. Like, what is he doing here? There's gonna be something else. But we always knew. Again, Thule is playing this underlining thread in all of this. I'm sure that was her intention. But when we pre-ordered the Wicked Powers, the Kickstarter of all of this, we had no idea the Wicked Powers existed. We knew Thule existed, but I think we more or less thought like, oh, here's some more fun stories that are going to be like a bunch of one-shots, but we have them in physical form, because we knew it wasn't because it was so specific to Kickstarter. We knew it wasn't going to be audio initially. We knew it wasn't going to be physical copies. We were just like, this is our only chance. So I don't think at any point in ordering that we thought it was going to lead to these bigger questions.
Yeah, and these are huge questions. These are big questions. All right, so boil this down. Neem ends up being quite involved in the Seelie Queen's pregnancy with Sebastian Morgenstern's child, who turns out to be Ash. And Ash has a huge role in the Queen of Air and Darkness, and has a big role in Thule, and has a big role with Janice, when he grows up, and he's still a baby here. So this is a glimpse of Ash's childhood and how he was raised, and kind of how we shouldn't disregard him as this evil like character because of these like last lines that Neem tells us. And also we know that Ash has like a budding relationship with one of the Blackthorns. So that's also something that we keep in mind here. But this is Ash's childhood. So we watch Sebastian and the Queen of Fairy fall in love, and Neem is just like, whoa, no,
this is weird.
This is bad. This is weird and bad, and I hate all of this. He's evil and ew.
But you want to know something? It just kind of aligns with the whole Morgenstern thing, right? Because Valentine was very much a charming man that Jocelyn fell for. And then it was like too late till she was like, oh shit, I kind of fucked up there. But he also appeased the masses. So if you have a Seelie queen who she was fine riding solo for a long time, and like I feel there's something, you know, what is it, Madame Marvel, flip it around,
Wicked Witch.
Wicked Witch. Like that's what this. It's part of the Morgenstern way.
Yeah, it's just this like crazy charm, and he scares Neem because the first time he sees Neem, he's like, you are familiar. How do I know you? And the second time he really notices Neem, he's like, you're related to Mark and Helen. I'm going to go visit them. And Neem is like, if I had known what he was going to do, like slaughter my family out there, what would I have done? Would I have done something? I don't know. And Neem kind of like struggles with this because Neem's whole thing is she has watched all of her family be destroyed by love. So Neem cuts herself off and she will not love. So this is Neem's heart thawing for Ash until she admits that she's in love. Not in love, but like loves Ash at the end of this. But we have to birth him first. And we birth Ash, but Sebastian's dead. So the queen wants nothing to do with Ash because she is, I mean, it's postpartum depression. Her lover's dead. Everything is bad. She's embarrassed. Her side lost. I remember this is the time of the cold peace and sanctions, and fairy hate is on the all-time rise, and they are stuck in Fairy. They have sealed all of the exits. So this is just like not a good situation. But Neem is given the task of raising Ash, and she sees him sprout wings, and she's like, well, he's so wonderful. Of course he should be able to fly. And Neem realizes that she loves Ash when she loses him on his 4th birthday during a game of hide and seek, which is very sweet. He's like, I was afraid that you wouldn't find me. And Neem says, I love you. I will always find you. I will always, always, always find you. That'll be important.
The second they say anything like that, you're like, here we go.
Yep, that'll be important. And then later on, the Neem is talking about how, I was just so foolish. Like, I didn't realize that, love isn't a choice. Love just like overpowers and overtakes you. You have no control in it. It is just something that like lights you on fire. Her heart is open. She's able to grieve for all of her sisters and her poet and for Mark and Helen and all of these experiences that she hasn't allowed herself to feel. And then Neem goes, but maybe love is salvation, and maybe my love will keep Ash sweet for as long as possible. So that,
like, she's the loophole, because you said it earlier too, where he's becoming, having love where love isn't necessarily there. And I think that goes also true to a lot of people, that just because you might not necessarily seen love portrayed in your life growing up doesn't mean that there isn't some sort of caretaking going on, or you seek love in other ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that's how the story ends. And of course we know that Ash grows up. We know that Ash is with Janice. We know that Ash is having a little situation, flashing back and forth with one of the Blackthorns. Which one is it? I can't think. Is it Lydia? I can't remember. And we know that with Janice being the man in the hawk mask, that he is on the search for Raphael. He is trying to make contact with Clary, and it's not working. We know all of this stuff, and it is just making me so excited for the Wicked Powers.
I'm excited, but I feel like this is the first time I'm live time with you, with the exception of a few. It's been, let's see, like 5 years. It's been like 5 years since I've been live time with you, and a new release that's established at this volume, right? And I don't know, where you're excited, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I'm seeing the things laying out, because everything's like, well, what does this mean? I know it's going to be something, and I know it's not going to be good. Which, I don't know. Because then we're going to get the first book of the Wicked. I don't know. We're going to do a reread soon.
Yeah, we're absolutely going to do a reread soon. And here's the beautiful thing about Shadowhunters is there's so much of it. There's so much of it, and Jessica Marie has only done it all the way through once.
I have it. We're still missing,
and we're still
the
missing
one-off
a few.
ones. Yeah.
So just imagine, everyone, how delicious rereading the Mortal Instruments will be. Just starting off with 16-year-old Clary in Pandemonium with Simon before she knows anything. Like imagine going back there. It's going to be so much fun.
It's also going to be really funny. I feel like I know you've tailored this whole experience, and you're the only way I would allow. You're like, okay, well, now let's explore it this way. If there's a different way to reread it in order. But it's going to be funny when they're like, that's your brother. But like, obviously we know that that's not the case. But I think it's just the rereading those things is going to be so funny. And then I know the ongoing like Shadowhunter fandom joke of it took Jace 5 or 6 books. Like, what Herondale takes 5 or 6 books to fuck?
I mean, not Will Herondale.
Literally, he is the only one in his family.
Took too long, buddy. Took too long. Herondale's can hit it faster than that. We love Shadowhunters. It is such a wonderful thing to revisit at Christmas, too, because they are just a wonderful found family. All of them together, they have such warmth. There are... and there's like holidays that are celebrated. There's Christmas episodes, like little, like sprinkled in their short stories. It is just, there's something for everybody. It is wonderful. And I think that the looming final chapter, the final like series of this, I'm going to put this out here now. It is December 2025. This is my prediction for the end of the Wicked Powers. It will either go one of two ways. It's either going to go Buffy and everybody's a Shadowhunter, or it's going to go the other way and somehow all of the Shadowhunters have to die to like seal the gates forever. And there has to be like one bastion.
Stop. I just got chills because like, again, knowing the last book is called The Last Shadowhunter.
Yeah, and maybe there has to be like one bastion left to like guard the thing, and that's our final like eternal like Sailor Moon kind of situation, guardian for all eternity. That is what I am saying now for my prediction.
I'm getting chills. I don't like this at all. I'd rather have everybody be a Shadowhunter because it's like again with Buffy spoilers, she enacted every single woman who would, like, girl and woman who would have been into a Slayer, all enacted at once. And they saved the world. And everybody goes on and continues their life. Let that happen. Let's just say that. Let's speak that one into... Let's just put that out into the universe. Because if it's a Sailor Moon shed... And it's just like, because then they have to sit with it and they have to live with it. Oh my God. I'm going to get teary-eyed already.
Well, see, we did make Jessica Marie cry. So mission accomplished. Thank you so much, everybody.
Teary-eyed. We did not shed. We just almost almost over the border. But if I post the visual, you could see a little gloss.
I'm done.
But with that being said, feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. And as always, please feel free to rate us 5 stars on any of your listening platforms. We'll talk to y'all soon, and thanks so much. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.